All right, what's going on, everybody? Narcolepsy Click. For everybody watching right now, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. Hope y'all have a great 2022 this year. Here with my guy, Infamous Opinionist, who most of y'all probably know from TikTok. I'm sure many people who go on wrestling TikTok have seen his stuff or follow him. So we should hop right into it. So day one just ended for most people just watching about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar now the WWE champion. Well, first off, let's backtrack. He was supposed to be in the match. He's supposed to, but then Roman, unfortunately, Roman got COVID. Hopefully, Roman gets better. Roman got COVID. He's out of the match. They put Brock in the Fatal 5-Way. Now, when you saw that first, did you automatically think that Brock was going to win, or were you not sure? Because I wasn't sure.
So my thing was, okay, look, and Shayna even asked me when we were watching it. They were like, why didn't they just take Brock off the show? And I was like, you can't advertise Brock for a show and then take him off, right?
Right.
Because they said the show was sold out. Who knows if that's even true? But if it was true, it's because Brock Lesnar was going to be in the main event. Like, don't get twisted. You could see the audience wasn't on their feet all night. And then the second that it was Brock's turn to come out, everyone's on their fucking feet. Yeah. So my thought was, you have to keep Brock on the show. He has to be in a big profile spot. I didn't think any of their original plans were going to change. I was obviously wrong. Yeah. Like, so now where do you go?
What's crazy?
I'm just wondering, and I'll throw this to you, Narc.
Yeah.
Where did that thought process come from? How did we get from it's going to be Roman versus Brock to Roman's not on the show to now Brock is going to be the WWE champion and he wasn't even supposed to be fighting for that? How do you arrive?
That's what I'm saying. Like Brock wasn't even in the storyline. Like he wasn't even involved in this match. So one or two things are happening to me that I'm thinking of. One or two things. Either at WrestleMania, it's going to be Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley for the championship because they kind of teased that at the end. Brock was kind of staring at Bobby a little bit. So they kind of seemed like they may have been teasing that. Or it's going to be Brock and Roman for the unification of the championships with both titles on the line. It's one of the two. It's going to be one of the two. I just don't know which one they're going to lean towards. I would much rather see Bobby versus Brock. I'd much rather see Bobby versus Brock because we haven't seen that yet, and that's something we've wanted to see for a while. And I would, Roman Reigns can face Drew McIntyre or something. I'm cool with that. Yeah. But it's like, I feel so bad for Big E, man, because like, he had a great championship win, but now his championship run was really bad. And it's like,
it seemed like it was just getting started.
Yeah, if they really wanted to solidify Big E more in the singles push, this one would have been huge for him. It would have been a big deal to be in the Fatal 5-Way, but now it just, Vince loves Roman and Brock. I mean, those were his two guys.
Those are his boys.
Roman and Brock. So, if the end all be all, if we get Bobby and Brock at WrestleMania, Bobby wins, hey, I'm all right with that. I like that. You know what I mean? Because Bobby goes over, it makes him look strong, and we get the match that everybody wants to see. But my issue is just like, when you do these type of matches, you don't have to involve the title all the time. Like, Bobby and Brock could fight without a title. It's still going to draw. People are still watching. You know what I mean? I'm just like you. It's like, things change all the time in WWE. Plans change consistently all the time in WWE. But it's like Brock wasn't even in this story. He wasn't even in this match. So now are we just forgetting about, like, if Brock's on Raw now, are we just forgetting about the Brock and Roman feud? That's done with?
That's problem number one. Number one is I want to see this Roman, Paul Heyman, Brock story tied up. Problem number two is I see a lot of people pitching, and a lot of people are doing it in the comments right now, the title for title unification thing. If you have a unification match at WrestleMania, then what the fuck is the point of the Royal Rumble that they started building up tonight? Yeah. Oh, this is the biggest Royal Rumble ever, and Johnny Knoxville is going to be in it or what the fuck ever, and it's the road to WrestleMania. Like, so the winner just gets added to the unification match. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, and then whoever does that is definitely going to lose because no one's going to win the Rumble and go to a match between Lesnar and Reigns and beat both of them. So,
I'm with Christopher. I wish Big E had a longer championship reign like Kofi. It's crazy because Brock in Kofi's reign and Big E's reign, like he's in both guys. I wish Big E would have had a better run as champion, man. Like, it's very unfortunate. That he lost the championship the way he did.
I think that the perfect way to do it for me would be to have a championship match one-on-one between Big E or maybe a triple threat between Big E, Bobby, and Brock at the Royal Rumble. Have Roman come out and fuck Lesnar over and cost Lesnar the title. And then the title gets back on either Big E or Bobby, and then Brock goes back and starts dealing with Roman again. That would be a nice, clean way of doing it, because Lesnar can have a short title reign and no one's going to give a fuck, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So he can be a transitional champion and not lose a bit of what he was tonight. And I want to talk about the match too before we get away from it. But yeah, I think that would be the nice, clean way to pack it up. But then I don't know if WWE can turn down title for title at Mania between Reigns and Lesnar. I feel like just
box office. I mean, whether people like it or not, that's box office.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just the thought of that gives Vince a huge raging erection. And I couldn't blame him for not turning it down. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. What I'll say is this: the road to WrestleMania just got a lot more interesting. I'll just say that.
That is for sure. I mean, listen, Bobby versus Brock would be huge, but Roman and Brock, title for title, that's box office. I mean,
box office.
And you got to think too. I mean, they've already made a lot of reports that WWE wants to solidify Roman Reigns as one of the greatest ever. So, I mean, if he becomes the undisputed champion, how many people in WWE have been undisputed champion? Jericho, Triple H had it, John Cena, and Brock.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only people that and Randy Orton too. Those are the only people that held both the titles simultaneously. So it's like, you know, if they're going to go big, then they may unify the belts. But I would much rather see, this is what I'd much rather see. I'd much rather see Bobby Lashley win the Royal Rumble, him challenge Brock at WrestleMania, and then Drew versus Roman at WrestleMania, because there's nobody else on SmackDown for Roman to face besides Drew McIntyre. So, I mean, that's the match to go with right there, which I'd be cool with both matches. I'd be totally fine with that.
Yep, me too. I do want to talk, if it's okay if I transition, I want to talk about the match. Here's the thing about Brock Lesnar, and it's hard to explain to someone, even a wrestling fan. It's hard to explain. There is this kinetic, frenetic energy that Brock Lesnar brings with him into a match.
Man,
like that match, that Fatal 4-Way didn't feel like it was a huge deal. It felt kind of predictable and cut and dry. But the second that Lesnar's music hit, the entire energy in the arena changed. The way that I watched the match changed. Just the second the bell rang and bam, you got Kevin and Seth going after Brock, and bam, you got Bobby and Big E on the outside, and fucking Lesnar's getting speared through a fucking thing, and Lesnar's suplex in there. That it's hard to explain to someone, like even back when Lesnar was holding the title hostage and like wrestling every other month or whatever, that doesn't fucking matter, because the second that Lesnar steps foot in an arena,
Brock is box office, whether people like to. He's box office, bro. Like, you know what's crazy is that if you notice too, with Brock, it's so weird because even though you don't want him to win, and when he wins, he still gets kind of a pop. Like, you know, like Brock, but because he's Brock, you know what I mean? But it's like,
I told Shayna when Lesnar's music hit, I was like, Brock is the only wrestler in the world across both companies right now, both major companies, that could beat Big E tonight and still be a babyface. Anybody else who beats Big E tonight is the biggest heel in the world. Lesnar is the only person in the world who could beat him. And I was right. Fucking F5, fucking pin, fucking pop. Just, it's incredible the effect that he has on a live crowd. It's absolutely insane.
This definitely has intrigues, man. Like, you know, it makes me think, I'm sure many others, it makes everybody think, you know, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Because before we had the Fatal 4-Way, then we had Brock and Roman, but now that Roman has COVID, he's out for a little bit. So we go to plan B. Brock gets in the match and he wins the championship now. So now what's the downline? It seems like they're gonna do Bobby versus Brock. That's what I see now. No one WWE, they'll just have Bobby and Brock fight at Royal Rumble and fucking have the unification match at WrestleMania. That's something that they would do. You know what I mean? But like you said, the Royal Rumble, like, how would that even how would that even be possible? You know what I mean? Like, unless they do what they did back in 2020, unless they have Roman get in the Rumble when Brock was champion, and Roman wins the fucking Rumble, and then he's the champion, so no, he ain't got to fight nobody. You know what I mean? Like, unless they do that, but I don't know, man. Like,
I guess that would make sense for Roman to say, like, I've beaten literally everybody else. The only thing left for me to do is to win the Rumble. And then he wins it, and then he challenges Brock. And I guess I guess then the Royal Rumble still means something, because technically Roman then gets a match with the champion, even though he's already the champion. So I guess, and I don't know. I think I'd be okay with that, but I could see where people might not be.
Twan, you definitely don't want the smoke, my guy. Chill out. You ain't taking none of the belts on the wall. Let's see who will win the Rumble now. Drew. I'm gonna say Bobby as of right now. It definitely could change, but looking at what I saw, I'm thinking Bobby. But I got to see what the Royal Rumble card looks like before I can really make an official decision. Based off what I saw, though, I'm gonna go with Bobby. Based off what I saw as a tonight.
And I'm going to the Rumble, and my prevailing pick was Kevin Owens pre-day one. Post-day one, that's completely changed. I don't think Kevin Owens stands a chance of winning the Rumble now based on the story they have to work with.
See AJ Styles win too. I'd love to see AJ Styles win. I would. I definitely would. I mean, AJ versus Brock would be cool, but I don't know if they would put if they would. I don't know if they would let Brock lose to AJ. That's my thing. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy though? Looking to it though, when you, I don't want to say it could have been obvious, but when Brock got added to this match, Brock rarely loses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like he rarely loses. He already lost that crown jewel. If you look at 2012 until now, we're in 2022. Brock came back to WWE 10 years ago. He's only lost to Triple H, and that was once. He lost to John Cena once.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to Seth Rollins twice. He lost to Roman. He lost to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania with no fans there and everything. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
The only people that beat him. He hasn't lost that much. I mean, so it's like.
Yeah. He only loses to guys that are already up here, or he loses to guys that are on the way up there.
And he lost to Goldberg, too. He got beat by Goldberg.
We don't think about that.
But
I mean, at the time, that was really good. But
that's 6 people in a 10-year span.
Right.
6 people in a 10-year span. That's not a lot.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see. You guys need. Let me see. Somebody. Where'd that comment go? You guys need to do a wrestling recap. You guys rock. Appreciate it. Thank you, King Rock 3310. If you guys have some questions you want to ask some questions. Maybe you express your feelings. Let us know how you feel.
Yep.
Did you change your thoughts going to the Rumble? Have you heard X-Pac has been cleared to wrestle?
I definitely anticipate X-Pac being in the Rumble. Because he's still pretty close with Triple H and all that. I can definitely see X-Pac getting a pop. Now he's going to get in there. He's going to throw a Bronco Buster, and then he's going to get thrown right back out. But he could.
So let's talk about the Liv Morgan thing. I posted a video of this too with TikTok community guideline. I don't know why. Hopefully it gets put back up. But if you're a Liv Morgan fan, I wouldn't panic, because I could see Liv winning the Rumble and then winning the title at WrestleMania.
She's still my pick to win the Rumble.
So I could see that happening. Now, with WWE booking, you never know. But I could still see Liv winning the Rumble, going on to WrestleMania, and winning the title on a bigger stage.
Yeah.
So it's still very possible.
Yeah. I definitely could see Liv demanding a rematch. Becky says, no, I've already beat you twice, whatever. And then Liv wins the Rumble, and then Becky has no choice. 2 things I want to talk about with this, or 3 things. Number 1, very quickly, it was great. And that's the thing, and we haven't said it yet. This show overall, top to bottom, quality, in my opinion. Quality.
It was all right.
Top to bottom. My problem throughout the match was the ref. She was counting so slow.
Yes, I think that I didn't like it either.
Slow. And Becky even turned around to her at some point and said, she said, you got to count faster. That's got to be more than 2. And at first I was like, oh, Becky's playing her character. But then I was like, no, I think she's being real, because she knows that a slow count makes both people look bad.
Yeah.
And I think the referee slowed that match down so much. B, it's a shame they botched the ending. It was obvious that Becky was supposed to cheat again. She was supposed to put her feet on the ropes. Yeah. But she just wasn't close enough. So now they're going to have to work with that. But good match. I don't think Liv's in trouble necessarily. I don't think we're going to see a Cesaro situation where she gets bumped back down to catering. I definitely still have her winning the Rumble. So. But good match overall.
Nicholas said Omos winning the Rumble 100%. Oh,
fuck that.
Fuck that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I would not.
No
I do
interest.
not want to see that. That is something.
I'll demand a fucking refund.
Alexis, so you got Alexa Bliss. I'm assuming Alexa Bliss won the Rumble. She's been gone for a while. You think John Cena comes back at the Rumble? Well, you may make a surprise pop up. You never know the Rumble. The Rumble's always got some surprise appearances.
Yeah, I could see him popping up.
Let's see. Imagine Omos winning the Rumble. I do not.
I don't even want to think about it.
I'm not invested into Omos. Like I can't get into
him. Me neither.
I can't really get into Omos. So what's next for Roman? That's a good question, man. I don't know. What do you think, man?
Well, first of all, get healthy.
Yeah. First of all, like we assume whenever he comes back, once he's cleared to come back. See,
a lot of people saying it's a work. I don't think it's a work. I don't think they would use COVID-19 in a work. Like if they're going to work it, they're going to show him on crutches, right? Or they're going to show him placing a sit call into Vince. Or they're not going to go as far as Reigns telling his millions of followers on Twitter, and then they're not going to broadcast it on the show, I have COVID, unless it's true. I don't think it's a work. I think he really has it. My
original thought, though, was I originally thought they was going to do Brock and Roman at the Rumble and just continue that. But now that thought process out of the window. So I'm thinking like, and you know what's crazy though is the Brock and Roman feud was actually pretty good. The storyline was getting good.
Yeah.
I was actually into it, but now I'm like, do they just drop it and just move something different? I don't know what's next for Roman. Like I said, the only other person on SmackDown is Drew McIntyre, but Drew McIntyre seems like he's doing something with Happy Corbin right now. So it's like, but who else can he face? Maybe at the Rumble he could face. I'm only saying this is because I know they were supposed to have a match at one point, but Goldberg, because that's the only person I can think of. Because they were supposed to have that match back at WrestleMania 2 years ago, but then COVID came out and then Roman decided for his health, he was gonna sit out WrestleMania and everything, so to be on the safe side. So if they brought him back, that's the only other person I could see for as far as drawing wise. Because there's nobody else on SmackDown looking at anybody.
Sheamus could probably be built up to fill that role.
But when you look at it though, like
Woods might be able to.
Nobody's gonna believe that Sheamus can beat Roman, though. You know what I mean?
Right,
that's the thing. Like, at least. I wouldn't pick Goldberg to beat Roman, but at least it's still Goldberg. You know what I mean? Like you would think, like, maybe it's a little. I like during the match, it would have moments where you may think for like, like when he spears him and hit him with a jackhammer or something like that. Like you may be like, oh shit, like Sheamus hit Roman with a brogue kick. You're gonna be like, I know he's shaking out of that. You know what I mean? Like, so. Let's see. Gable Steveson debut at the Rumble, maybe he was there tonight.
I think he'll be in there, if only for a couple of minutes. Yeah.
So Styles went for the Rumble. Let me see some of these comments. I feel Madcap Moss catching Drew almost had a botch recovered pretty well. I'm not gonna lie, Madcap did pretty good today. I
want to talk about that match. I was not at all like ready for that. Now I didn't care about that match. I didn't want it. I got up to go take a piss for the first few minutes, but when I got back and Madcap started getting serious, like I started to see what Vince was seeing in Moss these past few times he's tried to push him and it hasn't worked. But if Madcap Moss, and again, that match was really good, like dark horse match of the night almost. Madcap Moss is never going to work in the role that he's in now, but if they ever turn Madcap into more of what he did in this match with Drew, I think there's a star there. I really do, but I don't know. We'll see what eventually happens after him and Happy Corbin are done with their business.
Have you seen that Bray has been posting about his return? I haven't seen anything about that.
I haven't. So I've seen videos. There was like a music video that got released, but I haven't been able to see any confirmation that video was officially released by Bray himself. He shared a video that someone else posted on Twitter, but I'm not reading too much into what's going on with Bray right now.
Yeah, I agree. WWE booked Biggie as the least important person in the build-up in this match. Then he eats the pin. It looks like they're going to get Bobby and Brock at WrestleMania. It is disheartening to see what they did with Biggie because, when he won the title, it seemed like that there were high hopes for him. But it's very unfortunate because he did seem like the least important person going into this match to begin with. But the fact that Brock was the one that pinned him to lose the title, that definitely hurt.
Yeah, I don't think I see a lot of comments that say Big E looked weak. I don't think Big E looked weak. He put Bobby through the table. He fought off Rollins and Kevin Owens. He was the first one to send Lesnar out of the ring. I don't think Biggie looked weak. You know, he took the pin, but I mean, Biggie hasn't taken a pin in months, and the first pin he takes is against Brock Lesnar. So I think it's all about the follow-up. Now, if you want to doubt WWE's ability to follow up on this and keep Biggie looking strong, I would understand that. I don't think the match itself is a death knell for Biggie. I'm willing to see what happens next, but again, if you don't have any faith in WWE, I don't blame you.
Yeah. What's next for Biggie now? Honestly, I really don't know. Honestly,
I don't think he's done with the title. I think we'll see him in a title match. Again, I think it might be a triple threat, Bobby, Biggie, and Brock. So I'm holding out hopes for that.
Thoughts on Edge versus Miz? I liked it. I figured that Beth would get involved in the story, though. I definitely saw that coming eventually. As far as when the mixed tag team match happens, I'm not really sure. I would say the Rumble, but I would much rather see both guys in the Rumble match, and even Maurice and Beth in the Rumble. I think that would be cool. So maybe the Saudi Arabia show, and I think it's Super Showdown. Maybe that one. I can see something like that happening. Or I think Elimination Chamber. You know, maybe around there. But I thought the match was pretty decent.
Yeah, I know that everyone but me on this planet pops every time Ed uses the Brood music. Whatever, we don't have to talk about that. The match overall was decent. It's always interesting for me watching these shows because you know I'm a hardcore fan. My fiance is more of a casual, right? She watches it with me every once in a while. She watches all the pay-per-views with me. So I get kind of the point of view of the casual, and I can kind of react to that a little bit. And Shayna's reaction was, boy, this match is really slow. Edge isn't really doing anything exciting. They're doing too much with the Miz and Maurice. For me, I think that Miz and Maurice work really well together. I could see where someone might tune in and say, boy, this match is really boring. But for me, knowing what Edge is capable of nowadays and knowing the Miz's style, that match was about what I expected, and I got some entertainment out of it. So we'll see what happens with the mixed tag coming up.
How about Walter joins the Rumble that gets drafted to SmackDown challenges Roman? I like Walter a lot. A lot of people actually, I've seen a lot of people ask me, you know, they want to see Walter come up to the main roster and everything. So a lot of people are really high on Walter. That'd be pretty dope, man. I'd be okay with that. Something fresh, something new, something different. Just with WWE, you just never really know if they're really going to build somebody up to be a good star or just somebody who's non-existent. And so it's really hard to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Walter had family ties that he pretty much said in the last few years he would never come to wrestle full-time in North America. But apparently his family ties are no longer what they were. So now I'm hearing that he might be willing to come to North America to work for a little bit. And it makes sense for Walter to think that he can take down Roman because Roman's got the Usos, but he has Imperium. So it's kind of an even fight there. So that would definitely be something brand new. I think everybody loves Walter. I wouldn't get your hopes up, but of all the options that are out there, that's probably one of my favorite ones, to be honest.
Roman versus Samoa Joe, I'd love to see that. With Samoa Joe, though, I think WWE's giving up on him now.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really high on Samoa Joe anymore. So I'd love to see it, though. I mean, Samoa Joe would be great. Braun Breaker debut at the Rumble. I do think he's going to be in the Rumble, even though he's going to become NXT champion on Tuesday with Tommaso Ciampa. But he's one of the guys that I still see being in the Rumble. I think he's going to be somebody that they're going to push heavily for the future.
He's going to be the new face of NXT. He's going to win the title at New Year's Evil next week. He is going to be in the Rumble, I think. It wouldn't be the first time the NXT champion has been in the Rumble. I think this will be the third time that the NXT champion
Andrade was the first one. And
I think there was some I think there was somebody in the middle. I can't remember who it was. But yeah, it's Braun Breaker's going to be in the Rumble. He's not going to win it, but he'll be in it. He almost has to at this point because of the lack of recognizable names that they have on the roster after all the releases. They're going to have to dip into NXT and possibly NXT UK. So we'll see.
AJ versus Roman, Brock versus Bobby at WrestleMania. I'd be okay with that. So what if Seth wins the Rumble and goes faces Roman at WrestleMania? I know some people want to see Seth and Roman. They want to see that. And then we get Bobby and Brock at WrestleMania. There are a couple of options out there that I could see. He said Hornswoggle return and win the Rumble. Definitely not. It's definitely
you guys are too much. You guys are too much.
I could. Oh man, this is so many things that I think could go down, man.
Yeah.
Angel just came from TikTok. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Man, bro.
Support. They did him dirty. They should have saved Brock versus Roman until the Rumble. I agree. I think they should have saved the match to the Rumble. I definitely thought that's what was going to happen, but
I don't disagree with that. I was hoping they would just delay the match. But again, I can't complain too much because that Fatal 5-Way fucking rocked. So it was so good.
So is Brock on Raw? Brock is a free agent, so he has the ability to go wherever he wants to go.
Does
So
whatever the fuck he wants.
Brock can do whatever he wants. If he wants to go to Raw, he can go to Raw. If he wants to go to SmackDown, he can go to SmackDown. He pretty much can do. He pretty much can do whatever he wants. So
He can go down and F5 Cameron Grimes, do whatever the fuck he wants.
Man, there's so many things that KO said tag team title run. Maybe they do. Maybe what do you think about that?
I think it fits for what they've been doing. You'll notice that they actually never. There was never that turn on you moment. There was never that KO hit Seth from behind or whatever, like everyone thought there might have been. So it looks like they might be carrying forward the Seth and Kevin friendship. I would actually. I think I would love Seth and KO versus Riddle and Orton. I think I would pay a lot of money for that match now that you mention it.
Is The Rock taking the title off Roman? So I do think we're going to get Rock and Roman at some point. I think it'll be next year at WrestleMania 39 in LA in 2023. I don't know if a title will be involved, but number one, The Rock doesn't need to be champion anymore. And number two, he doesn't need to beat Roman Reigns either. If they have the match, Roman Reigns is the one who should win because Roman Reigns is the guy right now. The Rock is not the guy in WWE anymore. Roman Reigns is going to be is a part of WWE's future for a while, and you have to continue to make him look good, especially if you want to solidify him as one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
Him losing to The Rock would devalue him a lot. It would kind of be like The Rock beating CM Punk at the Royal Rumble when CM Punk should have beaten The Rock and been in the main event of WrestleMania that year.
I've thought for a long time that they were going to get the belt off of Roman before Mania, and then Roman and Rock was going to be non-title at Mania. It was just going to be kind of for the head of the table, not really for the title. But again, who knew that Roman getting COVID-19 would cause this domino effect? And now I suddenly have no idea what's going to happen.
Why would they put the WWE title on Brock?
Because he's fucking He's box office. Brock is box office. Me and Narc agree on this. You can think whatever you want about Brock. He's prime time. He's box office. He's money, cash, printed, green. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, but I mean, he's box office, man. And Vince loves Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, Brock Lesnar is an important piece for a lot of things for WWE. So, I mean, I don't think Brock needed to win tonight either. I don't think he should have won. I don't think he needed it.
He didn't need to at all. You're right.
I get why they did it. It's typical WWE booking. It doesn't change. Let's talk about this one. Have you seen Tony Khan and Swole's so Tony Khan's tweet about Big Swole? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts about that, man. What do you think about that one?
Sometimes the best reaction is no reaction. I think, because there's been how many people have been released from WWE that have then gone on to Chris Jericho's podcast and Renee Paquette's podcast and ripped WWE a new one. And how many times has Vince publicly reacted? 0. Because Vince has got a business to run, and Vince knows that.
I don't care.
Right. Vince don't care. And to be honest, even though Vince as a person may be completely shitty, Vince is a businessman. I've always said you can't deny his acumen as a businessman. And I think in this case, Tony Khan can actually learn from Vince McMahon. I think Tony Khan came off as very petty. I think he came off as very I think he came off as neglecting the feelings of his roster. And he pulled that old classic, I can't be racist, I have black friends card. So yeah, I just think everything about it makes Tony look bad. It would do him a lot of good to come out and apologize and just never speak of this again.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. 1,000%. He's got to come out and apologize about it and just leave it in the dirt, leave it in the dust. I mean, to say that he let her contract expire because he didn't think that she was that great of a wrestler, it's not something you say. You don't say that publicly. Like, it's something you just keep in your thought process. You know what I mean? Like, if you think that, then that's your opinion. But you don't need to express that. You know what I mean? Like, that causes a lot of controversy because now that's going to make the AEW locker room feel some type of way. Probably.
Leo Rush has already come out and said he feels some type of way.
Yeah, Leo Rush says about it. Even people who aren't even in AEW, there are wrestlers who aren't even in AEW right now who said stuff about that. Working for like any promotions, like, yo, that was not cool. That was invalid. Like, you can't say stuff like that, man. Like, when you're the owner of the company, you have to lead by example. And it may not always be good, but you have to have reasons why people need to understand your reasoning. You know what I mean? That's why I think a lot of people have respect for Vince McMahon, even though they may not like Vince McMahon and the decisions that he makes. Vince McMahon is a business guy, so he leads by example. He's had some bad decisions and he's had some toxic relationships, but he's always repaired those relationships, for better for business. Vince is always about business first. Some people never thought they'd see Bret Hart in wrestling again because that's what happened. But when people really want to see it, Vince was like, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's make amends be and let's bury the hatchet. People thought they never see the Ultimate Warrior come back. Ultimate Warrior, Bruno Sammartino too. Like, these guys come back. Vince is willing to make amends. You know what I mean?
And outside of all of that, outside of all the business stuff, Tony Khan just comes off as SAWFT soft. he just looks really soft. He looks really sensitive. Someone just needs to give him his bottle and his pacifier, put him in the corner, and let him go to sleep after he apologizes. So
that's something that that's something he definitely shouldn't have said. Like, you can't, you really shouldn't say stuff like that, especially if you're the owner of a company. That's just, it makes you look bad as the owner. It makes it like people may not even want to work for him. You know what I mean? Like, people may not even want to like, that's something that you would say. Like, excuse me, just imagine if he thinks that about Big Swole, how many other people does he think that about? The company that he can publicly come out and speak about it. To the public. I mean, that's not like, it's not something that you want to see. Thoughts on AEW signing the Briscoe brothers? What do you think about that?
They haven't, right? Are you asking what
if they went there?
I think any company that gets the Briscoe brothers is getting one of the best independently booked tag teams in history. Obviously, they're kind of an acquired taste for a lot of people, but there's no denying that WWE or AEW or GCW or anybody getting like a exclusive deal with the Briscoe brothers would be a win. So, yeah,
the Briscoe brothers are definitely one of the best independent tag teams in wrestling right now in 2022, going into the new year. And whether they sign with AEW, WWE, NXT, New Japan, GCW, wherever they go, you're going to get a really good tag team addition if they're booked correctly. So they're a really very talented tag team. So, I mean, if the Briscoes go to AEW, you got the Young Bucks there, you got the Lucha Bros, you have Jurassic Express, you have FTR. Like, you have a lot of good tag teams there, Varsity Blondes, that the Briscoes could work with. So, I'll be very excited if they go to AEW, because AEW is very good at booking their tag teams well. That's better than WWE for sure. So, if they go to AEW, I think that would be a pretty good thing for AEW. Do you think Karrion Kross will go to AEW?
Eventually, yeah.
Possibly. Very possible. Very possible. I could see that happen. Marking wants to know, sorry for asking a lot, but do you mind meeting up at the Royal Rumble? So he's going to...
I'll address this really quickly. For anybody that is interested in meeting with me at the Royal Rumble, I'm going to be closer to time within about a couple of weeks, maybe a week of the Rumble. I'm going to post a video on TikTok and I'll share it all my social medias. I'm going to pick a place and a time frame around the arena on the day of the Rumble that I'm going to be, so that if you want to come by, snag a picture, take a video for your TikTok, whatever, I'll be there. So just hang tight. I need to come up with a plan for that. I don't want to be, I don't want to just be people running up to me on the street. I want to be able to be in one place for everybody to come find me. So just stay tuned for that.
How do you see Bryan versus Hangman 2 ending next week? Is it their final match? By the way, I appreciate the support. Thank you.
Yeah, what's up?
Wrestling. I'll start. So I think it could be a stretch. I think Kenny Omega may come back and come out and interrupt this match and make it a DQ. I know some people are assuming that he's going to be out longer than expected, but with wrestling, you never know. I still think Heyman's involved in the story because he had a draw with Bryan Danielson, which wasn't involved for the championship. That was just a match to see who the better man was. We never got to find that out. And then he had a draw with Hangman for the championship to see who the world champion could be. We never got to find that out. And Hangman is the one who beat Kenny for the championship to become the champion. So it feels like, Kenny is going to get a rematch, and I think they're going to set up a triple threat between the three, which I think would be huge for those guys. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Omega comes back, gets himself interferes. He beats both guys up. He gets his qualification. He holds the championship up at the end of the night to show that he's back and wants the title again. So that's what I can see happening. I know some people are assuming that he's going to be out longer than expected, which may be possible, but I'm just feeling that that's what's gonna happen for me. So
I think Hangman needs to beat Daniel Bryan clean. I think that they are teetering on the possibility of Hangman's title run being wasted, and I think he needs a big win. So if you want to throw Kenny Omega in after that, I'm good with that. But I think Hangman needs to go over clean here,
which I think would be fine too. I mean, Hangman beating Bryan would definitely not be a bad thing. It would be a big push for Hangman, which the company's really high on. As you can see, they're really big on Hangman Adam Page. So him beating Bryan would be big for him, and I would have no issue with that. Thoughts on Ronda versus Beckett at Manio? I still would love to see that match happen. It definitely, to me, that match should have been a one-on-one match at WrestleMania 35 back in 2019. I do not think they needed to add Charlotte Flair to that match, which I get why they did, but she didn't need to be involved in that match for that match to be as box office end us out. Like Ronda versus Becky would have been just fine, especially at the time when Becky was super over, super hot with the fans.
Yeah, but the one problem though is that Ronda has sort of lost all of her good faith with wrestling fans because ever since she left wrestling, she has bitched and moaned about the way that fans treated her. So if you're going to bring Ronda back, you have to bring her back as a heel, which means you have to
she can't be nothing else but a heel.
Yeah, so she has to come back as the heel.
Which I think she could play really well. I think she would be a fantastic heel as far as getting under people's skin and making their blood boil. I think she would. I think she would be a phenomenal heel coming back, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that's if
Yep.
Do you think the women's titles are necessary?
No,
I don't either because they don't.
This is a completely honest question. Who are even the women's tag champs right now?
Well, that's Selena Vega and Carmella, I believe.
Okay, thanks for telling me because I had no fucking idea. I'm not being snarky. I literally this moment had zero idea who, and that's not good, right? That's not good.
Well, they don't book the championships properly either. You know what I mean? Like
they don't have enough tag teams to support it. They have to make up a new tag team every time they want new champions. They have to make up a new tag team. Literally,
well, that's the thing with tag teams. Like WWE's never really cared about tag teams. They've had legendary tag teams in the past. You know, I was at the Hart Foundation, Legion of Doom, Hardys, Dudleys, and everything. But they've never really cared about the tag team division. You know what I mean? Like they've had certain tag teams that were good, but they never focused on building a lot of tag teams around. Like if you look at the last era, the only 3 successful tag teams that they pushed heavily were the Bar for a period of time, the New Day, and the Usos. Everybody else was just there. You know, if you look back, you know, in the past days, you had the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys. Like that was the tag team division at one point. It was just really those 3. Like there was really no other tag teams besides those 3.
Yeah, they would have random tag team matches with other teams, and then you know take all of the negatives about the men's tag team division, cut it or multiply it by 2, and now you've got the women's tag team division.
Who do you think Johnny Gargano will sign with? If I had to bet, I would say he's going to go to AEW.
I actually am more confident that he'll end up back in WWE somewhere.
Back in NXT?
Maybe not NXT. I think maybe WWE gave him the ultimatum and said, listen, if you're going to keep wrestling with us, you have to come to the main roster. And I think maybe he said, well, I can't commit to a travel schedule because I'm about to be a new dad, right? So I think maybe there's an unspoken agreement where Johnny said, listen, just let me run out my contract. Let me go off and be a dad for a year. Let me get this under control. And then I'll come back and resign and I'll be on Raw or SmackDown. I think that's a likely scenario.
That's very possible. I mean, I definitely think that's very possible. I just don't with how they book their people. I don't think Johnny looks at the main roster as something that would be successful for him. I know he has good relationships within WWE, but I think he's going to do what Adam Cole did. I think he's going to go.
That's the thing, though, is that you know the people that leave WWE and go to AEW, right? And the Adam Coles of the world, and the Kyle O'Reillys of the world, and the Andrades, and the Pacs, and the John Moxleys. They all had previously established success before going to WWE or NXT. Gargano is basically WWE made, right? Born and bred. So I think maybe Johnny would feel like he owes it to himself and he owes it to WWE to go back and see if he can make something of himself there. sign a 2-year deal and see what happens. And then if that fails, yeah, go to AEW. But I think there is a lot more reason to think he'll be back in WWE than not.
What do you think MJF would say? I honestly, at some point, I think MJF is going to go to WWE. I think he'll go there at some point. He's a massive WWE fan. And I don't know. I think Vince would see something in him that he could do, kind of like The Miz. You know what I mean? I feel like he would kind of book him the way Miz is.
Yeah. He's so young. What is he, 22, 23 now? He was 21 when the company started.
Yeah,
so
he's
22, 23.
He's
So he could sign another 5-year deal with AEW, dominate that company for 5 years, and still be at the start of his prime and then go sign with WWE. So I think his next contract will be with AEW, but going into closer to 2030, do I think we could see MJF go and have a run in WWE? Yeah, I absolutely think that's possible.
Do you see Bayley coming back to win the Royal Rumble? I definitely could. She's one of my picks. I either want to see Shayna Baszler or Bayley win the Rumble, and I could see Bayley making a comeback and win the Rumble. So I could see that happening for me. What about you?
I would love it. I don't know what the extent of her injuries are. I am picking either Shayna Baszler or Sasha or Bayley to win the Royal Rumble. I think they probably want to get each horsewoman a Royal Rumble win. Just something tells me that's something they want to do. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be either Sasha, Bayley, or Shayna Baszler, one of those three.
Yeah, I definitely feel. I mean, I could see Sasha winning because they haven't given her a WrestleMania win yet. You know what I mean? So I could see something big happening for her. I still want to see Sasha Banks versus Trish Stratus at WrestleMania. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. So
yeah, it wouldn't be bad.
I'm still kind of hoping for that, and then maybe just on the Bayley, Liv Morgan winning. I definitely see that too. I think she's somebody that they just have to push. Like it's just a travesty if they don't, man. Like she's
like the one internet darling they have left on their roster.
She's like literally in the palm of WWE's hands, where the fans love her and they want her to be pushed. Like she could be a superstar for them in the women's division. Like they have some. Her promos have improved a lot. I think her matches have improved very well too. Mm-hmm. So like they have something right here, man, in the palm of their hands. It's all about if WWE is going to give it to us.
Yeah. I do want to go back, if we can, before we answer another question with the time we have left. I want to make sure that we touch on the 2 tag team matches that happened at day 1. I don't want to overlook those because those were also very good. Yeah. Like
the Usos versus New Day was the best match of the night to me.
It fucking wrong. I think it was match of the night. I think it set the tone for the rest of the night. I think they took the time that Roman and Brock were supposed to have, and they gave it to the Usos and the New Day and just said, here, have 10 extra minutes, go fucking nuts. And they did. They went fucking balls to the wall the whole match. And then, the rap group coming out for the Raw Tag Team title, I don't know who they are. I'm assuming a lot of you do. Yeah, I don't know who they are. But the match itself, the energy of the dude. Here's the thing about RK Bro. I have never seen Randy Orton more over than he is now. And really? I don't think so. I think the most over I ever saw as a babyface, I ever saw Randy Orton before this was there was a point in like, you remember back when he was like having all his matches with Wade Barrett and stuff like that. Yeah. He was pretty over at that point, but not like this. And I think it's that big brother energy that he gets with Riddle. Like every time Riddle's in danger, Randy Orton comes running and makes the save, and everyone wants to see Riddle get saved. And because it's Orton,
you mean this is the most over you've seen him as a babyface?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, as a baby, these are the biggest pops in his entire career. And I've been watching wrestling. I've been watching WWE consistently since the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era. So I've been here in the entirety of Randy Orton's career. As a babyface, I've never seen him getting the pops that he's getting now, like every week. And
this is definitely the most over I would say he's been as a babyface.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about in general because I'm about to say the most over.
No. With the crowd as a babyface getting pops is what I mean. And the match, by the way, with the Street Profits, I don't want to acknowledge over that. I think the Street Profits did some very sneaky heel work in this match, which is kind of interesting. They were taunting Randy. They were cutting off the ring with Riddle. They were taunting the Migos. So they were doing a lot of really sneaky heel work, and I'm interested to see where they go. And the match itself, again, just phenomenal. Lightning between the ropes the entire time. I think the SmackDown Tag Title match was a little bit better, but just by a little. So, what do you think of Randy Orton first of all, and then the match itself? Because
Randy Orton's a legend for sure. I would say this is probably the most over he's been as a babyface in general. The most over he ever was to me was 2009. 2009 was his best year that he ever had in the company. In 2020 last year, I would say he had a pretty good run as a heel too for a minute. He was
one of the MVPs of the Thunderdome slash.
Yeah, he was one of their top MVPs of that Thunderdome era, man. He did his thing in that Thunderdome era. But you know, I do like RK Bro, do like Street Profits. I just, like I said, the tag team division is so weak. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, like it's so limited. Like, you know, they've already beat Street Profits. Maybe the Mysterios is next because I don't think they've faced them yet on a pay-per-view.
No.
So maybe they're next. But there's so many limited tag teams, man. It's hard to really care about the tag team division because they don't put effort into the tag team division for me. So it's like, yeah, RK Bro is cool, but we know at some point they're breaking up, like probably before WrestleMania, so we can get Riddle versus Orton in a one-on-one match. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's cool now, but
nights like tonight and the matches they have is what makes it so fucking frustrating that WWE doesn't properly book their tag team division. Because every time the Usos and New Day go out there and have a banger, they look like the two best teams in the world. And every time Randy Orton and Riddle go out there, they look like the most over tag team in the world. And you see all that stuff happening live, and you're like, why doesn't Vince and Nick Khan just fucking get it? Just look at what's fucking happening out here and just fucking realize that tag team wrestling could be one of the biggest things that you have if you just put it's so frustrating to see good shit, just such good shit tonight. And it's frustrating.
What was the most surprising match to you looking at the card tonight that you were most impressed with?
By far, McIntyre and Madcap Moss, because they went out there with no build, with no legible story to be told outside of the fact that Corbin and Madcap like to laugh a lot. That was all they had. And they went out there and tore the house down, kind of. And if not for Brock, I think may have stolen the show. So yeah, kudos to Drew, kudos to Madcap. I don't think it was all Drew. I think Madcap put his heart and soul into this fucking match, because I think Madcap knows that the next time they do cuts, I think he knows he's on the chopping block, right? So he was like, man, this is my fucking opportunity. I'm out here with the guy that ran the company last year. I'm just going to go out there and fucking put on a banger. And that's what he did. So yeah, I was impressed with him.
I agree. That match definitely surprised me the most because nobody really cared about it going into it. I mean, we knew Drew McIntyre was going to win for sure, 1,000%. But Madcap did his thing, man. Much respect to Madcap and Drew McIntyre. And it seems like the story's going to continue because we saw backstage where Baron Corbin, where Happy Corbin attacked, Drew and, did his thing. So it seems like they seem like still setting up that feud between those two. But Madcap definitely did his thing 1,000%, man. He showed that he could hang his own against a big time, main event opponent, in the ring tonight on a big stage. So hopefully, I like the addition of Madcap and Happy Corbin. I hope they keep them together. I think they have those very good annoying heels that people just don't like and gets under your skin. I mean, so I think they should keep them together.
Hot take: I think they need to win the tag titles.
That'd be fine.
Somehow, I think they need to put the tag titles on Corbin and Madcap, and make them look like a legitimate threat.
What do you think about AJ being at New Year Evil? It's a smart thing because it brings more eyes to this product because they're trying to get a lot of superstars to be more recognized and familiar with NXT since they rebranded it to 2.0. And everybody knows who AJ Styles is on the main roster, but everybody doesn't know who Grayson Waller is. This thing, not everybody's familiar with Grayson Waller and what he could do. And he's the hottest heel in NXT right now. So, I think him and AJ, I think this is a test for Grayson Waller and Vince McMahon's eyes to see what he can really do because they're putting him in there one of the best with AJ Styles. You know what I mean? Whether he wins or loses, that doesn't matter. It's about what he can do in the match and what he can showcase to not only the fans, but to the people backstage. But they're like, you know what? He's somebody we can bring up to the main roster. We can do something with him. You know what I mean? So this is more of a test for Grayson Waller to see what he's really about. The same with Riddle being added to that tag team match. It brings more eyes in addition to the show. So I think Grayson Waller, for him, it's like sink or swim. You either go out there and you put on a show stealer with AJ Styles, who's one of the greatest wrestlers and in-ring performers of all time, and you steal the show. Like I said, whether he wins or loses, it doesn't matter. You can lose matches and still look strong. You can still look good. It depends on how you lose and what you did in the match to put in the effort for it. So I think this is more of a test for Grayson Waller.
You pretty much spoke for me too. The one thing I will say, Grayson Waller is the most nervous man in America right now. Like, it's your first high-profile match. You're going in there against AJ fucking Styles on free TV. Like, come on. Yeah, he's the most nervous man in America right now.
But it shows that, I think that also shows too, like, it shows that they see something in him. To put him in there with AJ Styles, like, they see something in this guy. Like, you know what? Let's put him in there with AJ. Let's see what AJ. It's kind of how, like, like Shawn Michaels back in the day. Shawn Michaels was the guy. You want to see how good you really are. When you put him in there with Shawn Michaels, let's see what he can. Let's see what we can do. Because Shawn Michaels will bring the best out of anybody. You know what I mean? So let's see what he can really do, and let's see if he can hold up to the standards. So I think that was a testament for a period of time for John Cena. When he faced Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, and then on Raw again. You know what I mean? I think that was a test to see how good John Cena could really be, because people were downgrading John Cena's wrestling skills at that time. Remember, they're saying he couldn't wrestle, he only had certain moves, but putting 2 good matches with Shawn Michaels. You know what I mean? So I think that was like, you know what? John Cena can hang. He can be all right. That's what Grayson Waller is trying to figure out, not only in WWE, but the company trying to figure out in him if he can really hang out there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Somebody in chat was asking, am I excited for New Year's Evil, by the way? Not really, to be perfectly honest. I'm having a really hard time adjusting to 2.0 because
you don't like it?
I'm not crazy about it. No, because NXT isn't supposed to be this bright, overproduced TV show like Raw and SmackDown. It's supposed to be gritty and edgy and supposed to remind you of an independent show. And 2.0 just doesn't have that same energy. They've got great athletes. They got Braun Breaker and all these guys. But if there's one match that I would say I would pay money for that match, it's probably Carmelo Hayes and Roddy Strong. That's probably the match that I'm most excited to go back and watch after it's over. But I'm not going to watch it live. So I'm waiting for 2.0 to give me a reason to care. And just me personally, I don't have that reason right now. So maybe New Year's Eve will be it. Who knows?
What a great way to kick off 2022. What are your thoughts on Brock Lesnar winning the WWE Championship? And who do you think would he throw in Roman? So we kind of talked on this, but for the new people coming into the chat, we'll kind of touch on it again. We both don't think Brock needed to win, but we understand it from a business perspective. Brock Lesnar is box office. He's a money draw, whether people like him or not. He's just a big money draw that people are going to be invested into watching. You know what I mean? So
box office.
It's either going to be 2 or 1 things. It's either going to be Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, or it's going to be some type of unification match. Which, like I said, how would they do that with the Royal Rumble? But with WWE booking, they'll figure something out. So I see one of the 2 happening. If I had to bet, I would say Bobby versus Brock, because it kind of seemed like they teased that a little bit at the end. As far as who's going to be throwing Roman, only person I can think of is Drew McIntyre. If it's not going to be Drew McIntyre, I have no fucking clue. No idea.
No, I threw out a couple of names that could be built up between now and Mania. King Wood, Sheamus, but again, they're not really that believable. I think I could definitely see Roman, because it's been 7 years since Roman won that Rumble in 2015. Usually big guys like this don't go very long between, guys who they look at as the face of the company, right? They don't go very long between Rumble wins. Orton won in 2009, and then he won again in 2017. That was about 8 years. Cena won in 2008, and then 2013. That was about 5 years. So I think Roman is probably overdue for another Royal Rumble win. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Roman went in, even as the Universal Champion, won the Rumble, and then faced Brock Lesnar at title for title at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's definitely some shit that WWE would do. Definitely some shit they would do. Just looking at how WWE creative booking can be, it wouldn't shock me one bit. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they did something like that, to be honest. It wouldn't stun me. I wouldn't be appalled to it, because with WWE, you can't help but laugh at some of the stuff they do sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just so, I won't say so predictable, but it's just like, it's WWE booking at this point. It's just like, Brock wins again. It's like, yeah, of course Brock would win. You know what I mean?
Of course.
He'd win. But I would much rather see Bobby and Brock, and then Drew versus Roman, or maybe Seth and Roman.
Yeah.
I'd rather see something like that because they don't really have much for Roman on SmackDown at this point besides Drew McIntyre. I mean, now that Brock Lesnar's the WWE champion, they don't really have much on SmackDown at this point.
Yeah.
They got rid of Jeff Hardy, who is, somebody that a lot of fans wanted to see face Roman, which would have been a big draw right there. They put Finn Balor on Raw. They put Kevin Owens on Raw. They got Bobby Lashley on Raw. Edge is on Raw now. You know what I'm saying? Big E's on Raw. So Seth Rollins is on Raw. They moved him to Raw. So it's like AJ Styles on Raw. Randy Orton's on Raw. They don't have much for Roman to go up against right now on the SmackDown roster.
Thing about that is, and I was thinking about this today, like half the people that they drafted televised during the draft in October are gone or just aren't on TV. So I think at some point soon they're going to have to do another fucking draft because the rosters have got to be in shambles and uneven right now.
They got to be evened out, man. I mean, if you look at SmackDown last year, SmackDown was really good and watchable because they had a lot of contenders for Roman. You had Finn Balor, you had Edge involved, and Daniel Bryan was there for that period of time. Cesaro, they built him up a little bit. John Cena came back and did his thing. And you had Kevin Owens as well. He did his thing with Kevin Owens too. So you had contenders on SmackDown to keep rotating to go against Roman. But now they're really lacking. That's why they got to continue to build up superstars, man. That's one thing that WWE truly lacks in this era. The one reason that the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era were so successful is because they focus on building up stars for the future. Look at how many Hall of Famers and legends come from those eras. The Attitude Era, The Rock, Stone Cold, and Triple H, and Mick Foley, and Kane, and The Undertaker, and then Kurt Angle was a part of both eras too. So in the Ruthless Aggression Era, you had Kurt Angle, you had Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Cena, and you had Edge and Randy Orton and Batista. There were just so many people and you still had Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, and Triple H, guys from the different era who came over to that era too. So it's like WWE really has to focus on building up superstars for the future of the company. It's cool to have Roman Reigns as the face of the company because they always have one guy who's going to be the face of the company. That's cool. But you need to have other guys you can surround him with where he can compete, where it makes it look like, these guys can be threats to dethroning him. You know what I mean? So they don't have anybody in that spot. Like I said, Drew McIntyre is the only guy on SmackDown looking at the SmackDown roster right now. He's the only guy you look at that can say, you know what? He could be Roman Reigns. You don't believe Ricochet will beat Roman Reigns. You don't believe Sheamus will do it. You don't believe Cesaro will do it. You don't believe Shinsuke Nakamura will do it. Drew McIntyre is the only guy you could look at and say, you know what? I could see him beating Roman. Brock was another one, but Brock just became the fucking champion today. So it's like,
and honestly, it's crazy to think about, but Raw is now in a better spot than SmackDown is. Because I could see, Owens or Rollins or Big E or Lashley or Orton if he splits from RK Bro. There's tons of guys on Raw. And that's why I think the rosters are severely imbalanced right now.
So I didn't like how they.
Anyway, I only have.
We're about to end here in a second. I didn't like how they drafted anyway, though.
Yep, I was just going to see if you wanted to run down and find a few more questions before I get out of here. Is all I was going to say.
Yeah. If you guys have a couple more questions, we'll give you a couple more questions before we head out of here. Yep. But I didn't like how they drafted anyway. It kind of felt uneven to me to begin with. When they I agree. When they were putting certain stars on Raw, I'm like, they're taking a lot away from SmackDown. They really should.
Imbalanced already, and then they started cutting motherfuckers, and now it's even worse.
Yeah. So, let's see right here. What were your biggest surprises? Top 5 biggest surprises in 2021. I would say John Cena's return, Brock's return,
Becky's return when she did it for me is up there.
I wouldn't even say her return. I would say how she beat Bianca Belair. That was
that too.
Her squashing Bianca Belair.
Bad Bunny's performance at WrestleMania.
I would say the debuts of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson at the same time. That was pretty insane. Simultaneously to get you kind of heard rumors about both guys coming, but the same time though, that was very, very unexpected right there. So I would say that one. And another shocking one, I would probably say, if I had to pick another one, I would probably say,
I would say, because yours and mine are sounding a lot alike, I would say throw Bray Wyatt being released on that list.
I would say all the releases that WWE did in 2021, man. Just all the people they let go was just. All the people that go to me was insane. It's so many people on the roster that could have been so valuable. So it's that would definitely be up there for me. What's your favorite AEW moments? I would probably say CM Punk's return for me. CM Punk's return back to wrestling. CM Punk's one of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time, man. And just to see him come back to wrestling, I didn't even care what company he came back to. To see him come back for me was a very happy moment for me. So I'm gonna say that.
My favorite AEW moment was probably, it's hard to beat the Brody Lee Memorial and how that whole show ended. It's kind of hard to beat that.
Let's see. Ooh, let me scroll up. You guys got a lot of questions coming in. Do you think Vince McMahon made wrestling what it is today? That's a very good question.
I think short answer is yes.
Yeah, I would say yes. I mean, like I said, when it comes to Vince McMahon, you don't have to agree with his booking decisions sometimes. You don't have to agree with the decision that he makes with personal situations as well. But Vince McMahon has revolutionized wrestling. It'll be the saddest day in wrestling history when that man passes away.
I will say it feels like there is a transition happening with AEW becoming as successful as it is. So right now, right this minute, yes, Vince McMahon made wrestling what it is today. But in 5 years, who knows what wrestling is going to look like?
Well, Vince is the pioneer, though. Like he's been doing this.
Yeah, he is the pioneer. Yeah, AEW wouldn't be around today if Vince hadn't made WWE what it was.
Yeah, I mean Vince is the pioneer, man. So I mean, Vince has revolutionized a lot of things. He's given us a lot of great things. He's given us a lot of bad things as well. But Vince McMahon has revolutionized a lot of things in wrestling, man. So, top 5 Royal Rumble moments. I would say Edge's return in 2020, Cena's return in 2008. Let's see, moments. I would say Rey Mysterio winning the Royal Rumble just because of Eddie Guerrero and everything. That was a very special moment for me. I would say those would be up there for me. I would also say, moment-wise, the stare down between John Cena and Batista in the 2005 Royal Rumble when Edge got eliminated and they both were just standing in the ring looking at each other and the crowd was going fucking insane because you kind of knew that these two guys were the next in line to be elevated to the superstar spots. So that was pretty cool moment that I always remembered. And another moment for me, I would probably say... Honestly, I would say the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. Everything about it. Just all the returns for the legends. The fact that we got the match itself. Ronda Rousey coming out at the end. To me, the whole thing was incredible.
A couple other honorable mentions. I would say Shinsuke beating Roman in 2018 was pretty huge. Mm-hmm. Becky taking number 30 at the Royal Rumble in 2019 is up there. The 2017 Royal Rumble when Brock Lesnar's music hit and you just hear Corey Graves go, "Ball game." And then Lesnar just came out and wrecked shop. And then Kane's 2001 performance where he set the initial record for eliminations is memorable for me too.
Views on Lacey Evans' return. What do you think about Lacey Evans?
Who cares?
Not a fan of her?
Honestly, no. And it's not completely her fault. It's completely the fault of the booking. I have no reason to care about Lacey Evans. No reason at all.
I think Lacey Evans has a lot of potential. I do honestly think she has a lot of potential. I definitely think they called her up from NXT a little bit early in the beginning because I don't think she was ready.
Way too green.
I don't think she was ready to come up just yet, but obviously the company saw something in her. So I think she has something there. She has a good look and she has obviously good athletic ability. And I think she has something there, but it's all about how the company utilizes her. And they haven't really gave me a reason to care enough about her the way they booked her. So when she comes back, though, maybe we'll see. Maybe she comes back with a different character. Maybe
I'm willing to give her a shot, but right now I couldn't care less.
Yeah, maybe she comes back with a new character. Maybe she comes back as a brand new Lacey Evans. Who knows? But we'll get into 3 more questions. I'll take 3 more. What's your favorite moment at WrestleMania? Favorite WrestleMania moment? We'll do one better, right here. This one right here. Top 5 WrestleMania moments. So kind of go with the same question. What's your top 5 WrestleMania moment? I would say, my top 5 WrestleMania moments. I would probably say Kofi winning the WWE Championship.
That was one of mine.
I would say Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth reuniting at WrestleMania 7. The reuniting of Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth. That was a beautiful thing to see right there. So many good WrestleMania moments.
Ray winning the title, even though the match was a little bit botched because Orton got injured. Ray winning the title, I think, was...
Yeah, that was a good one. Ray winning the title. I would say, I'm trying to think hard. Undertaker, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels standing on the ramp after their end of an era Hell in a Cell match. That moment right there was just That was a beautiful thing, man. 3 best friends, 3 legends in the same, all one time, just kind of saying that, we just did something special. Moment wise, Rock and Cena and Rock and Hogan as well. Those are 2 moments that I'll never forget.
Rock and Hogan is up there. I think more recently, I think Sasha and Bianca have become one of my favorite WrestleMania moments. Just the way they reacted to the moment, and then the match itself being as incredible as it was.
I would say Seth Rollins Money in the Bank cash in as well.
That is, I think we've covered all of my favorite ones now. If you throw the Seth Rollins cash in there, I think we've covered all my favorite.
BB at WrestleMania 30 was cool too. WrestleMania, that was a cool moment too. So there's a lot. All right, we'll go ahead and take one more question. Give one more good question, guys. One more good question, then we'll go ahead and sign off. We'll get off here. Let me see one more good question. You guys, a lot of people watching today. Maybe we had over 100 people in this thing watching this, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Let's see. I'm scrolling. So many questions you guys have asked, man. So many questions.
Yeah, I wish we could get to all y'all's questions, but Malik's got to work tomorrow, and I got some
here. What's your dream matches? I would say for me, I would definitely want to see AJ Styles versus Edge. That's one on my bucket list that I hope can happen. Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar is one that we possibly could get. That's still one of my dream matches that I want to see. For AEW wise, CM Punk Kenny Omega is one that I need to see that one happen eventually at some point in AEW. Those would probably be the ones that are on the top of my list. Trish Stratus, Sasha Banks. That's another one that I would love to see happen this year at some point. I don't know when, but at some point I'd love to see it happen. And the fatal 4-way match between the 4 horsewomen, Bayley, Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte. The fatal 4-way women's match that we haven't got to see yet.
Yeah, one that always sticks out in my mind for some reason is Kenny Omega versus Randy Orton. That would be amazing. A revamped triple threat match between the Visionary, Seth Rollins, Jon Moxley, and the head of the table, Roman Reigns. I think that match would be incredible. And then a tag team match between the fatal 4-way tag match between the New Day, the Usos, FTR, and the Young Bucks.
That would be amazing right there. That would be an amazing match right there. As for looking at dream matches that possibly couldn't happen, I'd probably say I'd love to see Okada versus Orton, man. I think Okada and Orton would be a phenomenal match. Naito versus Orton, John Cena versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, I think would be pretty huge. That'd be an amazing match. Orton versus, Roman versus Okada would be good. Roman versus Kenny, Seth Rollins versus Will Ospreay. There are a lot that I'd love to see. Lucha Bros versus the Usos versus the Guerrillas of Destiny. So many. There's so many.
All night, dude. It's incredible.
I'll let you go ahead and plug in your socials, man. Make sure you guys give this guy a follow. Infamous Opinions on TikTok. Let everybody know.
TikTok is right here. That's my TikTok. I would appreciate a follow on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at InfamousJade08.
Give him a follow, guys. Make sure you guys follow all my social media as well. Narcolepsy Boy 94 for all my social medias: TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. All Narcolepsy Boy 94. Appreciate you guys for watching. We chatted about a lot for you guys after day 1, so we'll see what happens tomorrow on Raw. Who knows what happens tomorrow? But Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you guys have a great New Year in 2022. Thank you, Jade, for joining, man. Make sure you guys come until the next time.